Hi guys, welcome back to Perspective Podcast. Today we have Jack as a guest co-host, and we've got Sam Gwilt on as well. And we're just going to run through a few questions, and mainly focus about, I guess, your experience in design, a bit about your career, slightly touch on AI, but also about how you manage, I guess, having like a side job as well as like a main career.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, kicking it off. What is your go-to Mario Kart character?
Whoa. Oh no, I'm so
You're put
boring.
on the spot here.
It's Mario.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like to adjust the cart. I change the cart up, but Mario, like,
every time.
that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a bit, he's a vanilla character.
The most vanilla character.
The most vanilla character, but his stats are equal across the board. Like, that's what I work best with, I think.
Okay,
Fair
nice.
enough.
Jack?
Roy.
Who is...
He's one of Bowser's little followers.
Skeleton thing.
No,
Really?
that's Drybones. Roy is like, he's got some sunglasses and he looks kind of cool. He's pink.
Nice.
What about you?
I would say the Toad.
Okay.
Just because it's quite cute. I'm actually not really a Mario Kart fan, but there we go.
Oh.
Okay, Sam, do you want to just like walk us through what a typical day for you looks like?
Day in the life of a designer.
Yeah.
So I wake up 5 a.m. and I go for a 10K run.
Is he being serious?
No. I work about a 40-minute way from home, so my commute in London is the stereotypical get on the tube, don't talk to anyone for 40 minutes, which is nice because I get to, like, that's my relaxation time, actually.
Yeah.
Some headphones in, noise cancelling headphones in. I just reset for the day. I've usually had breakfast before work. I like to start with a slow morning. I will make time for coffee. I will make time for some breakfast. 40-minute in, and then at work, we work 5 days a week.
Okay.
So that happens 5 days a week. And being in a consultancy, each day can be different, whether it's working with one client and working with one project, or it might be the morning doing one thing and then picking up some other stuff in the afternoon. Everything is in flux a lot of the time, with different clients having time for feedback, or we've just submitted some stuff, and the ebb and flow of information then. I love going for a lunch with the team. I'm one of the people in the studio who pushes for a bit of a fancier lunch here and there, not just a meal deal every single day. Looking for any excuse for a little treat. And yeah, so that's what I look forward to. And the afternoon is usually same again. I don't know what sort of clients I'll be working with. That's the benefit of working in a consultancy. A project might last 3 months, it might last 3 weeks, it might last 3 years. There will be variants of each of those in between. And it's nice to be able to switch to one project which deals in one sector of design, and then the afternoon we're doing a completely different sector. So yeah, it's nice to mix those things up.
Yeah, nice. So you've got a YouTube channel. How do you manage having that full-time job, working probably quite long hours and busy days, to also manage like your own YouTube channel and your own
online presence?
Yeah, online presence.
Yeah. Recently, over the past 6 months, a year, however long, there's been less online presence from my side because I'm busy. So it's hard. I get that. But what I have found over the past few years is removing any barriers to content is essential. So the way that I first started on YouTube, the company I was at called Recipe Design consultancy based in West London. I started YouTube while I was at that company, and they very kindly allowed me to use their office as the YouTube space. So 6 p.m., everyone finishes work, everyone goes home. I hang back, I set up my camera, I move some furniture around, I film for 20 minutes, and I go home half an hour later. So it might be half an hour late from the usual time, but I've got a video, I've got content, minimal effort. Now, if I needed to go home and do that commute, then get home, then think, okay, now I've got to film, then that's an extra barrier. Like switch off your mind while you commute, you switch back on. It's hard to do that. So I just integrated that into my day as much as possible.
Okay.
And it might be why these days I maybe don't post as much. But there's always ways that I can remove some of those barriers. I'm readjusting, remodeling the spare bedroom I have in my flat, where we're turning it into a bit of an office. And in that case, then the YouTube content might turn back up again, because I can just sit down, press record, and off I go. There's always that, removing any barrier for setup time, or posting as smoothly as possibly.
Yeah. Do you find that your, I guess, passion for your own design elements kind of ebbs and flows a little bit? How do you manage that and trying to get back on track in terms of like feeling, I guess, passionate about your own design, I guess, online presence?
Yeah, there are months where I want to post so many videos, I have XYZ ideas, and I want to share all this with the audience. And then there are other months where I don't want to post at all. And it's important in those times to not be hard on yourself for that, to understand that not everyone can be the social media like machine at every single given moment. We're allowed to be able to have this ebb and flow of content and then no content. I think audiences understand that that's how it is. And I don't think anyone, if I missed a video back in the day once a week and I missed 1 week, there's not pitchforks out after me, like it's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like it's changed recently. Like, I know a few designers that told me that they felt like they had to constantly post stories and try to remain active. But now, I feel like it's becoming more acceptable to take a step back from social media and kind of reflect on yourself and would be better on yourself,
Yeah. That's an interesting point about stories, because Instagram over the years used to be about posting to your main feed.
Yeah.
People don't really post to their main feeds anymore. People post to stories. So Instagram is now becoming like a story-based platform rather than a feed-based platform. And I love that, because it opens it up to be like, it only lasts 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to remember what I posted 24 hours ago, because there's more stuff. So I can just post whatever I like. Like I'm walking down the street, see a nice car, I'm going to post it.
Yeah.
It's so much more freeing. It still shows that I'm part of the design world, still shows that I'm engaged in looking for inspiration here, there. It doesn't have to be something that I have done personally. I can just share what's inspired me.
I think it allows you to show your personality as well, stories. You can be more, open and just do what you said, put you on.
I think also that could be a little bit dangerous. People now have such short attention spans, so they're just flicking through reels and stories, and actually to get someone's engagement and attention, I think, is much harder. And I guess the way when you started your Instagram, there was a very different social media presence with just one main post, and there was no kind of scrolling, that kind of thing. So actually now that it's changed, you think it's much harder to kind of capture that audience. If you've got a smaller following, obviously you've got quite a large following, and people would stick with following you, but in order to gauge, I don't know, get like new attention is harder now, do you think?
For sure, yeah. I was right place, right time on Instagram when it was a slower burning app, right? It was just more of a continuous flow of content, and now it's like an influx of like everything all the time, on reels, on stories, on every element is so much more fast paced now. And I think there are 2 ways to cut through that, and I'm going to name 2 accounts. One is called Bricks and Disorder. Have you ever heard of these? No. So it's 2 guys who bought a flat in East London. Mainly on TikTok, they made content of like renovating this upper flat, right? And their reels are so chaotic and energy. It's like big energy. It takes you through a project from start to finish in quite a cohesive, methodical way.
Okay.
They launched on YouTube and it blew up because they had their TikTok audience. So you can either match the noise and go for it, like the video's like non-stop. I love them for that. Or there's an account, a ceramicist, a potter, artist, he didn't know what to call himself, called Florian Gadsby. Okay. And he is a potter who literally has 40-minute YouTube videos where he'll sit down, he'll make a pot, he'll narrate it, and it takes that 40 minutes, and it's the slowest, most zen content. And whenever he posts to Instagram, he's a really nice photographer as well. He posts his stories, his main account, with captions that max out Instagram's word count.
Okay.
So like every single post he makes is almost like a blog entry. And that is such a rejection of Instagram's fast-paced nature that it's become. And I actually sort out those posts now because it's just a moment of calm. So there are so many different ways you can cut through.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you and then making that your thing. You know, like you don't have to match everybody on Instagram. You can do your own thing and cut through that way.
So how do you feel like that has, I guess, influenced your design career and finding jobs? Do you feel like your online presence has created like your own design persona and you've taken that into a job? Kind of how does that work, or is it vice versa?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like my Instagram and YouTube persona is not necessarily what I am every day. And that's fine, because when you present things, you know, I have to give more energy because camera takes energy away, right? So
yeah,
I've learned to project my voice. I've learned to be excited about things more so in real life. And I think anyone watching me film YouTube videos might think like, guy's like, really, he's excited about a lot of stuff, this weird guy. And then you watch the video and it's like, okay, that level of energy is what's required. It doesn't, I'm quite a shy guy as things go, but slipping into this YouTube persona that I've made for myself, and I've already introduced myself to people at networking events because they might have seen my YouTube videos. It's taken this shy person that I am and completely removed the need to introduce myself to people. Or if I do need to introduce myself to people, that's fine. I just slip into this persona. It's not faking things, but it's just putting in a little extra effort to boost what I already am. And now I love going to networking events because I don't have to have the awkward conversation of who I am, who are you, like all this. It's just easier for me to do things that way. So as an introverted person myself, being able to be public personally has really opened things up for me to be able to do that. And that's almost sort of why I started YouTube in the first place.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess what kind of advice would you give to someone who doesn't have that online presence or that kind of like extroverted personality on YouTube or Instagram, and going into these networking events that you have to just be your like authentic self, and who doesn't have that confidence? Kind of what would you recommend? Would you recommend building your online presence as well and doing it that way, or like how would you kind of navigate that?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I did it personally, but I understand it's a lot of effort to build a social media presence before going to these events. Before I had my Instagram account and YouTube fully set up, I was going to like career fairs. And I got my first job there actually because we were going around all the different stalls. And there was this stall that didn't have many people on it. I went up to them and they had this book. And I was looking at this book and there's a person behind the stalls. I was like, I really like the front cover. This is really nice. Can you tell me more about the book? And just by not acting, because I was genuinely interested, but just by being interested, they lit up. They were like, oh my God, yeah, it's great to talk about it. It turns out that they were a camera renting, like a film equipment renting company who rented TV and film equipment to the TV and film industries. So rigging, lighting, cameras, lenses. They had an office based in Pinewood Studios in London. And they were looking for a graphic designer to help them make some web banner. I wasn't a graphic designer, said I knew how to use Photoshop, and I enjoyed the book, so we got chatting, and I got the job there, and it meant that I got to work at Pinewood Studios, where they filmed James Bond and Star Wars. I got to drive there every week to show them these web banners that I made. I wasn't making films. I was doing graphic design to sell TV and film equipment. But just that first instance of being like, I like what you're doing. Can you tell me more?
Seem interested.
Yeah. That was all it took to introduce myself in that way.
So do you have any like other side projects that you're working on at the moment, aside from YouTube and social media?
Yeah. So there's the full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
there's the Instagram, there's the YouTube, there's the talks and the podcasts. But beyond that, I run product visualizing service. So whether it's product studio shots or full interiors or exteriors, I run that with clients as well on my free time outside of work. Work knows that I do this, so that's fine. I can talk about that. I've found over the years that it's nice to work with American clients because I can finish work here in the UK, hop on a call with America at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and it's their time. I have never specified to clients I will only do product visual work, but for some reason, the only work I get asked to do is product visual work, which is fine because then I get to do the industrial design as my day job, and then I come home and I do the product visual work in the evening. So it's a balancing act of because I don't advertise, I do it very much. I don't get many clients very often. I just passively say yes to things as they come through, which is usually off the back of YouTube because they've seen me do stuff there. And then more recently, it's like clients that I've worked with 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years later, they'll have another project to work on. So it's grown organically, and I've been really fortunate to not need to go and chase clients because I've had the full-time job to fall back on. But it does mean that evenings these days, especially since February and now into March, been a lot to do. Working on the UK time zone and then the American time zone. It's about finding the quickest and easiest way to start achieving things. Whether it's different tools, new tools, as they come out. I'm always looking to add various aspects into my workflow.
And what kind of, I guess, visualization tools are up and coming? How do you find that clients know about them and are asking you to do them, or is it mainly you kind of pushing these new tools?
Half and half. So on a recent client project, they came to me to do some exterior outdoor scenes. I've always used Keyshot with them in the past. This time they came to me and they said, hey, we're seeing some of this AI stuff happening. Maybe we could work that into the workflow. Would that save any time? And I love working with them. I'll preface that. But they're very particular about what goes where, what materials things are. And I don't think AI can start doing that, right? Or I'll give them a draft and they'll say, oh, that's great. Can we move this over a few inches? AI is not great at doing small tweaks to particular parts of an image, but you can tell it to make a new image entirely.
Like a one-shot thing.
Yeah. I know we have generative fill. I always struggle saying that word. Generative fill in Photoshop. That can sort of come into it. But what I suggested to them in the end was, look, let me do the scene in Keyshot, full res. I'll export it in full res. I'll texture everything nicely. I'll do all this. Grass with all sorts of, like the fuzz nodes and all this. It's looking good. In Photoshop, I'm going to export it at half resolution.
Okay.
So at half resolution, that's fine. I'll then there's a web-based app. It is paid, but for a client project, it's fine, called Magnific.ai. Magnifique. Something like that. I'll need to remember that. And it's an AI upscaler. So it takes what you've got, upscales it, and then in the pixels in between, it'll add in just a little bit of blend in some whatever photographs it's referenced from online. And I'm in the camp of AI has stolen a lot of artist work and all that. Like, I'm not a fan. I don't like it. And eventually AI will persist because we'll forget where they got all their base data from, and we'll move past that. Anyway, that's a whole topic for another conversation. But I'm using this to then upscale it back to full res, and then I can use it in the Photoshop file. It doesn't replace the image, but I'm just masking out, painting in certain areas where it might be added texture. So where a wall meets a floor and there's like pebbles and bits and bobs like in the crevices there, I'll just brush it in, and that's how I'm using it there. They're happy with that. That it just gives a layer of realism. It gives creative freedom that we can still direct exactly where everything's going. We're not just telling AI to do one image and there it is. And they're still in control of how their product looks in the final image. I'm not, having AI render a new product hard because it hasn't got necessarily everything to reference. So being in control and being able to art direct is what this process allows us to do.
Being like a puppet master, the AI is doing it, but you're behind the scenes with the string.
Exactly, yeah. And even when it pops out on the end, I can mask away where it's not good. Like it'll put mountains in the sky with clouds. It will confuse clouds with mountains, and it will, so you just brush that out, and it becomes clouds again. So that's how I've begun using that, and it's worked quite well.
Save a lot of time?
Well, no, because it's an added step.
Okay.
This way, I mean,
it takes more time.
Yeah. About the amount of time it takes for the AI to process and then to mask in certain areas. It's an extra half an hour or so, not much. But if we were to tell the AI system, like, fill in this entire background with an outdoor scene, it's going to save some time, but what you get is what you get at that point. And then you can go in and Photoshop it, and that's just extra time. So as a time-saving measure, I'm not using it for that, but I'm using it as an extra level of like
polish.
Just a filter on top, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that AI is moving towards the direction of making designers less creative and, I guess, building on their own skills, and it's kind of making designers think less themselves? What's your thought on that?
I actually think it's going to have to make designers think more.
Okay.
Because it'll get to the point where anyone can type in, hey, make me a new camera design, go. And it says, okay, here's your camera design. And they've drawn a nice picture of the AI has drawn a nice picture of a camera. Yeah. Is that design? Is that,
no.
Like, there's so much more to it and there's always the joke, like, how many industrial designers does it take to change a light bulb? Well, first we need to ask, what is the core value here? It's the fact that people need light. And if we were to do that, then maybe we install a window. We're always looking for, like, what is the core reasoning? So if as designers, if we're still looking for that core reasoning, we have to think more. It's not just about being able to draw a camera anymore. It's about figuring out, why is this new camera needed?
What the camera needs to do.
Yeah. What an idea I've had for a camera for so long, and it's actually starting to happen now, because I film YouTube videos, I film portrait videos. All camera sensors are rectangular, and it means that when you film things, it's either landscape or either portrait. Sometimes you have to crop in. It's never nice. I would like a camera that has a square sensor, so that it is landscape and it is also portrait. I would like that.
There was a film camera a very long time ago. I don't know what brand it was. It might have been Leica, but they did one ages ago, and it was square.
Yeah,
and you had to get specific film, but
yeah.
Maybe we should go back to that.
There were a few like GoPro, like small like sports cams that are doing it now, but I'd like that as a mirrorless or a DSLR camera. An AI wouldn't show you that in an image if you told it draw a camera. So you're thinking about features, you're thinking about how someone's using it. That is the role of a designer. If students are graduating thinking my role as a designer is to draw a camera, that's not
wrong.
That's not what we're doing here. We're thinking about why, we're thinking about who for, we're thinking about business decisions, we're thinking about changing behavior of the public, right? If we want to get lofty with it, that's what we're doing.
Also connecting with emotions. I don't think AI can connect with emotions.
Exactly, yeah. I think it will become a tool that can enable us to show what this new idea could look like, but I don't think it'll ever get to the core reasoning behind it. That's what I'm clinging on to. I hope it's.
I hope so too.
I hope so. Yeah, I guess in terms of visualization, do you think that clients would be able to see maybe in like 5 years' time? Oh, well, AI can do this for me. They can generate an image. I know how to use a bit of Photoshop. Like I could do this. Do you think that in that aspect, like visualization could change by clients learning how to do it themselves? Or do you think that's still kind of like, as a designer's role, is you still have, like, we can still basically design and they still need us?
Yeah, I think from a visualization point of view, if we talk about like with my visualization clients, a lot of the, or most of the time, all of the time, the product is finished being designed and I'm handed the product to visualize it. Now, in that case, the product is very specifically defined, specific materials, specific BDI finishes, like anything you want to talk about, it is what it looks like.
Yeah.
When you say like, hey, AI, got this new camera, can you render this camera for me in AI? And it says, oh, I'm going to grab pictures from everywhere.
Yeah.
It will be a camera, but it's not the camera. Maybe in 5 years' time, it will get better. But then beyond that, we will be in charge of art direction. Like you can't buy taste, right? You can't AI your way to having good taste.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to guide clients, non-creatives, on this journey of creating images that look good, work well, whereas if they type in like, get a camera, and they'll be happy with the results, but they won't see the results when they start sharing it online because the art direction won't be there. That's from a visualization point of view. From a product point of view, will clients do it themselves? If we're talking about designing products, there's always talk, like when desktop printers first were around in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like every home having a desktop printer, every office having one, and everyone was saying, this is the end of graphic design. Everyone's going to do it themselves.
Print at home.
Yeah, like exactly. Has that happened?
The ink costs a fortune.
Well,
so.
yeah. That's true. That's true. But you still go to the professionals to design your graphics for you. Just because you have a printer at home doesn't mean you can do it yourself, Word art was a thing for a while. That was like, I don't think that got anyone panicking that graphic design is dead. So I think it's going to stay that way with 3D objects in the same sort of way.
I guess my question to you is, I'm quite in awe on your work schedule. It seems that you're constantly on it. Have you ever like reached a burnout where you need to like take a step back and like focus on yourself and maybe do hobbies that aren't work related and
Yeah, it's I tend to have 2 or 3 months on, 2 or 3 months off.
Okay.
That plays into the fact that I don't really advertise that I do product visualization in my spare time. I just let it happen whenever clients need it. Between February and now, it has been a busy time. I think the new year, old clients busy. Are like, oh, new budget, let's go, new stuff. So I've been busy. Towards the end of March, I will stop saying yes to clients. I haven't ever had to say no to clients before, purely because there haven't been many coming in, right? It just so happens that some come along all at once and then others stop. Other times they stop. So the last few weeks off. The next few weeks I'm looking forward to when I can just switch off, relax.
Settle down a bit.
And that natural level of some clients happening at the same time, and sometimes they don't. That's what keeps me like
so you're a bit
balanced.
You're a bit like a sprinter, you can go for a short period of time and then like a rest and then go again.
Yeah. If we class a sprint as 2 months.
Yeah, a long sprint bus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that break in the middle. That's going to be a few weeks away.
Do you have any like hobbies that aren't design that you're like passionate about and takes your mind away from that, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the age now where I can go back into the hobbies I had as a teenager.
Okay, cool.
So I'm back into gaming. Nice. On like if I'm doing product visualization, I've got a decently spec'd PC, a big rig, and then that means it works great for PC gaming as well.
True.
So that's a nice benefit of that. And the company paid for it. My company paid for it.
Perks of the job.
Yeah. I might start getting back into guitar playing. Like honestly, I might have a midlife crisis now when I can like just use the hobbies I had as a teenager and rediscover them again now. So
Sounds
maybe
good.
that's this year is I get back into that.
Okay, just to finish up, what would be your one piece of advice that you would give to yourself, like, let's say 10 years ago?
19.
19. I would have been, what's that, just starting uni? When is that, 19? So long ago now. How old are people? Just finished A-levels?
A-levels?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, first year at uni?
Yeah, first year of uni, yeah.
I don't know if I would do much different,
No?
Okay.
And that's a really privileged position to be in. So the way that I discovered design was I just kept enjoying the subject design at school.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept doing it. And then I'm here. So by not making 10-year career decisions and just thinking, what do I want to be doing in the next 2 or 3 months?
You're just doing it.
And then I just did it. Very privileged position to be in. But I think these days there's a lot of really bad advice about, you got to have a 10-year plan. You got to have a, what's your retirement plan? What's your 10-year plan? When you see yourself in 5 years, don't worry about it. Just think about what you want to be doing in 6 months. Do that. Anything you're stressed about now, you don't think you'll be stressed about it in 6 months. Don't stress about it now.
Yeah, that is good advice.
That's good advice.
The worries that I had when I was 19, I can't remember I know I was very worried at 19, but I can't remember what they were. So maybe it's all going to be okay.
Don't stress, basically. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you
for having me.
It's been great to have you on here. And check in for next week's podcast.